Yo, 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 yo. Good morning. All right. Hey, Ariane, how's it going? What up, yo? Ugh. Hi, Captain Bounce. And I'm here. Oh, yeah, throw those gang signs. Yeah. We're the warm-up gang now, boy. I'm fine, thank you, Ariane. Hey, Zelen, how's it going? Oh, Quentin and Just Honest. Oh my god. Yeah, where's my AK, Captain Boss? Fire! Fire! So, what should I do today? Would you mind giving me some suggestions on maybe what to draw, perhaps? Hey, Zelin. Atsugi. What's up? Good Bjorning, everyone. Oh, damn. Mechanized terror. Yeah. For some reason, I saw it as a mechanical shark. That's interesting. Catmeleon. I can honestly say I've never ever in my life drawn a catmeleon. German warworm. All right. That made me think about Bangalore's. Interestingly. Interestingly enough. Hello, Tormod. How's it going? Captain Boss, clarify. So, topics. We got a mechanized terror, catmeleon, German warworm. We got three topics. Three more topics, please. Captain Boss. So good, man. It's all good. Hey, Isra, how's it going? We meet again. Robot Mage. Ooh, I like that idea. Also, Catmeleon. I'm gonna draw Catmeleon. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just honestly, it's all good. Anything goes, man. Anything goes. Catmonk. Oh, nice. You survived a typhoon. Was it crazy? Was it like ridiculously crazy? So I'm gonna roll the dice. Rolling number 5. Another panda. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Catmonk. Interesting. That'll be fun. Tormod won it today. Catmonk. Topic number 20. Catmonk. Tormod. Is that how you spell it? Tormod. Yeah. It is number 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Captain Boss. Yeah, I mean my boss is pretty good at it, but he shines at paper. Hey, good morning, Larib. How's it going? 57 years, strongest typhoon. That's crazy. Hey, cousin Sam. Good morning. Welcome. Ah, voodoo breakfast. Just honest, yeah. That's so funny. All right, let's start. Let's start. Let's do it. Catmonk. 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 That's pretty interesting. Yeah. So I've been plagued with this idea after for a couple of days now. Um, um, and it's about um, a comment I read on Facebook. Um, I'll try to explain it. And kind of what I'm thinking, right? It's not really Facebook drama. It just made me think a lot, right? It's no drama over someone, but some person wrote that they had some interaction in a bar, or I think it was in a bar, um, and the woman was talking to this. I think it was a stranger, and they got into the topic of what they do. So she explained, "Oh, I draw, like fantasy." I'm like, oh no, she said like I'm an illustrator. And he was like, "Oh wow, well, like what? Tell me more." Kind of. She was like, "Yeah, paint dragons and wizards and trolls and whatever." And he was like, "Ah," like got put off or didn't relate to it at all. Like didn't get it at all. And he was like, "Oh, do you do portraits?" Like that is the for him for that for that reason, or for an artist would be someone doing portraits, and the guy had no interest in the fact that she was probably a really great illustrator in the fantasy genre. But for him, all he cared about was like, oh well, I can't relate to that whatsoever, so I don't care, or it has no value. Um, Captain Mouse, yeah, exactly. Captain Sam, nah, man, it's no Facebook drama. It's just a thing that made me think, right? So for him, what was art was what's relatable to fine art. So if you're an illustrator, that is like fine art. So if she would have shown him his paintings, he would have most likely not cared, you know, because why should he care? He can't relate to it. So that kind of made me think about the topic of what I ranted about a few days ago, like about your art. Hey, Lucrezia Cat. Thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Anyway, so that made me think about like relatability in your art, and you making a product to sell, and who are you painting for, right? So for the last few days over the weekend, I've been thinking about like, okay, just honest. Hey, to Fenshi, Tofu Senshi, welcome, welcome. Nice of you to drop in. My pleasure. Absolute my pleasure. Anyway, so I kind of got to that point, or in train of thought, right? That where I was thinking, what what in any way can you make? Because I won't change the fact that I'm gonna paint something fantastical, right? That it's a part of what I love to draw, right? I'm not never gonna change the fact that I love painting fantastical things. So in that return, or in that turn, I guess that's a saying, I hope. Um, like what safety measures can you make in order to have appealing art, because it can't be. Hey, Bonnie, how's it going? I mean, it can't be like too much. It was my pleasure, Tofu Senshi. Absolute pleasure to host you. Fantasy portraits. Yeah. But like like I said, like I'm trying to formulate. Like it made me start thinking about like, what in if anything can you do in order to make more relatable art within this fantastical genre, because clearly based on that guy's feedback on that woman's experience, is that quote unquote normal people don't care about dragons, you know. And obviously we're making products for people to want to buy a product with dragons in, you know, not that, but you know, case in this case, right? In this suggestion. So in what way? I was thinking, you know, like, was getting caught in my own mind, like how on earth would would you be able to produce something that's absolutely relatable to someone who don't care about dragons, and how can would you make them care about it? I mean, granted, a lot of people would don't care about the dragons in Game of Thrones, right? Game of Thrones is not for everyone, but it is a product which millions of people enjoy. I don't know. I mean, it's a valid point. I mean, who would care about fantasy if you know if they don't care about fantasy? How can you make them care? Well, I think there is a scope where or a room where you can. I think there's also a reason why they didn't put dragons in Game of Thrones from the beginning. I think the dragons came in later on a tactical move, more that than lore. You know, like the story. I know. I get it. It's like, oh, she gets she becomes the queen of the dragons or whatever she's called. And yeah, I get it. It's on a later story arc, right? But I think it's all about one of the solutions or one of the thoughts I landed on, which was you can't. It goes hand in hand. I think it goes hand in hand with um, having a clean design, and by that, a lot of that, a big part of design theory is that you got to reach a point in a design where adding something uh, or removing something lowers the quality of the product, right? So a kind of zero fat, zero excess design, right? So that when you have a design, it's absolutely readable. Each component that is there is crafted to the best balance that there is. So if you start adding a different color or a different shape, you're breaking the design, right? And I think with that in mind, you could also design a dragon where there's not a lot of like fluff and magic and classic fantastical elements to make it a lot more relatable and believable in a way, right? But I also think it comes down to like one thought I had as well was about quality or maturity. For me, I started thinking about, okay, what artists currently are really, really like up there, right? Hey, Kid Rathi, how's it going? And also Harry Potter, yeah, exactly. Harry Potter is a really good example. I think Lurie. Well, I don't think so. That it's like the point is just to dream away because it's all about relatability, and it doesn't matter how fantastical stuff your world has. It's all about how can you sell. How can you pitch the how can you sell the step into that world, right? Take Avatar, for example. Avatar is an extremely fantastical idea, but there is some narratives being told early on in the movie to sell you the idea of the fantastical, because there's enough in there that relates to real world, that bridges the gap in a kind of mature way, so that all the fantastical things, even though they're far out, they are they are they are communicated to you in a way where you can relate and believe. I think a lot of people who doesn't care really about these fantastical movies quite enjoyed Avatar, much more so than Star Wars. And I think Star Wars, um, in the later a lot of the later movies, failed in that regard of selling you the idea of a fantastical world in a more relatable and tasteful way. I think the first three older movies, even though they were quite fantastical in that sense of being a space opera, right? Is that it becomes way more like the old movies. They were way more subtle and mature, and even though it was fantastical, it was a lots of elements that you could relate to and not be confused about, right? And the 4, 5, 6 were quite the opposite in that, right? They tried, but a lot of the fantastical elements just became fluff. It didn't. It had lots of excess to it, right? That's how I see it, at least. Hey, Janae, how's it going? Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Voodoo Breakfast. Greg Rukovsky and Mazart Young. Yeah, and also Piotr Jablonski or whatever his name is. I'm butchering it. His work is extremely fantastical when you look at it, but I think in his case, his artistic ability bridges the gap, and his subject matters, even though they are extreme, they are never far removed from something that's kind of realistically crazy. Does that make sense? I don't think it does, but what I mean with that is, let's say you make a robot, and a robot where, let's say, Terminator or RoboCop would be a realistic version of something fantastical, and Chappie would be way more tangible and realistic than other designs. But yeah, I was thinking, like, Aaron Beck. Why is, for example, why was his work is his work? Right? I mean, it's still good, but it was very popular a while back. Like, what became that, so mainstream, for example, that it became like a standard for Hollywood movies for years. Like every concept artist and their cousin like leaned on Aaron Beck in terms of tech. Oh, I think tofu sushi. Did someone ask about a question? Yeah. Oh, no, just kind of. Lou Reed, yeah, absolutely. Even though, let's take Harry Potter. You took that example before. I mean, taking Harry Potter as an example, I mean, it's extremely fantastical, but it's rooted in reality and it's rooted in something where you can relate. You can place yourself in that world where the steps you need to take to believe it's like a almost like an Occam's razor for selling an idea, right? Occam's razor being the path of least assumptions, complicated, the least complicated and least amount of assumptions is most likely the truth, right? Like it's like gauging, like is it UFOs or secret technology of humans? Most likely secret technology of humans, because the assumptions that alien life comes to Earth and flying around in flying saucers, that gap or that path is longer to assume to be true. So most likely, it is not true. You know, just as an example. Uh, but yeah, but I think we, I think when it comes to successful artists in the entertainment industry and what makes them really really good is that ability to sell something fantastical without going ham. Like cheesing it up, or it's either technically, fat or too slim, or narratively. Like there's too much trying too hard, or there's too much stuff in there, or it's not clean or eloquent enough or streamlined enough to have strength. Oh shit, what of breakfast. Have a great one. Thanks for dropping by. Yo, so Tufa Senshi, just to kind of give you the lowdown. At the beginning of every stream, I ask for a random topic. I roll the dice, and whatever topic it is, I start drawing. And today, Tormod won with Cat Monk. Um, so I'm painting kind of like a monk of sorts that's it's a cat. And I try not in these warm-ups, I try really not to use reference so that I exercise my creative ability and in a true fashion do a warm-up, just to get the hand moving, get the brain working, rather than trying to master something. That's not the purpose of these warm-ups. These warm-ups are meant to spark the mind rather than have a final illustration. Concept Sam. Yes, I would say having a simple design but a great idea is one way to do it. But a simple design doesn't mean easy. It means, like I say, like I keep on saying, like if it's a simple design, the weight on each element is going to be so much harder to get right, because if the more you have, the more clutter and the more you can get away with. Like take, I mean, Overwatch is a well designed game, right? The characters are well designed and reads good. They're not like the end all be all of character design, but the work there is great. And I would say in a lot of those designs there is a little bit of excess when it comes to some of the characters, but what's great with them is that they have focused down on each character's shape, silhouette, color. Everything is measured, right? So the amount of fat on those character designs are very, very small. You know, you could start adding stuff and they would stop being that unique character, and you can see that in skins. And some skins are better than others because they change too much from the core of the character, and then they have to keep certain elements to signal the player that, oh, this is the skin of this character. You can see that in some of the skins. Oh, Tofu Senshi, man, no. It's a good challenge. I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time now, so I can rant and paint at the same time. But it's all about, like, I keep preaching on what's happening with those legs. I have no idea. Like I've been talking about on the stream is it's about teaching yourself your own process, and and doing warm-ups like this where you allow yourself to fail is essential um, to evolve, to enhance your technique. Because if you don't make mistakes and experiment, you're not trying new things, and in return limiting your ability to be creative, either in technique or subject, or any of the above mentioned. Yeah, Brother Lionheart. Yeah, it's a really good one. Lou Rib and Concept Sam. Yeah, absolutely. Street Fighter and Cyberpunk. I mean, Cyberpunk looks like it's heading the right direction for sure, but it's such an intriguing subject, and my mind has been spinning around on this for 3 4 days now. It's like I was looking at my art, some of the like older work or the top 10 whatever, and I go like, yeah, I can see, because I do love to go extreme in my ideas, right? They're not so subtle, and I do go quite far in terms of subject, and in return I can see how that is hard to take in as a neutral observer. But a part of what I think why I succeed in some cases is I know how to design something. So even though it's an extreme subject, I can make it understandable and relatable in the fact that I can design it in a clean kind of like, no fat, no not too much, not too little, but also I can kind of analyze my own work, see the artistic or narrative decisions that I've chosen to portray, let's say.
Hey, who wants to play drink the
Hey,
beer?
Tofu Senshi, thank you very much for the host.
Another beer.
Anyway, so I can kind of see, that it becomes a taste. Like if you would paint love or sexiness, like a lot of, generally speaking, younger people would show sexiness with cleavage or a curvaceous body. But sexiness can be so much more than that. I mean, the older you get, the more you understand that, and the more you find out yourself what you find sexy. And it could be the, like flow of a hair, or the way a woman or a man looks at you. That itself can be sexy, and that can make a character sexy. And all these different things. That is not like the basic go to most obvious solution. My pleasure, Tofu. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the host. Just honest. I don't think art is universal. Um, I don't think so at all. I definitely know that some people just don't care about a certain subject, and you can't make them care, for sure. If you ever meet my mother, you'll she's like that with life. She's like, screw that, I don't care. I have my opinion. That's what matters. Um, I know that fact that not everyone cares about everything, and art is definitely not universal. That's for sure. But as a commercial artist, which a lot of us are or trying to be, we have to take things into consideration in how are we portraying our own art, because it has to. I mean, even though my mother don't give a flying f about dragons, she could care less. She's like a 60 something old lady. Why should she care about dragons? But she does care about my art in the sense, like, yes, I am her child, uh, but she also recognizes skill and the choices I've made in this arbitrary example of painting a dragon. Right? I'm not saying that she loves my dragon paintings, but whatever. And her husband can also go like, oh yeah, I like your paintings, even though he's an old man. Like, why would he care about an orc? And I think we gotta start thinking a little bit about. I don't know. This is a kind of live train of thoughts, so bear with me. I haven't given this that much thought, but in somehow I want to construct kind of maybe a checklist, like how to, or like as I'm creating, I remind myself of like taste. Is it tasteful enough? But that's more of an umbrella term. But I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about, and I think it's the key to what makes a really good artist is skill and do more with less, and that's where the real challenge lies, and that's where, for example, Harry Potter has succeeded. Is that if you boil it down, it's kids with magic wands shooting magic at scary wizards. That alone is silly. But they've managed to boil that theme down and filter it through certain choices that the delivery of it, tone, acting, effects, everything just makes it acceptable. Isra. Just honest, I don't think it's not definitely not hours spent in a painting makes it better. I mean, they're like the classic, like Picasso, like did a doodle, and the doodle is like spot on, and he says like, oh, it's not the time it took, but the years to get to this point, right? So it's not about more details. It's about what details, first of all, you've chosen to do or put down, and the technical skill to explain it in that particular fashion. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep on thinking about this for sure, because I haven't been able to drop the topic for 4 days, and it's something that's really bugging my brain, and I want to know. I'm gonna have to dig deep. Pi Antonio, yeah, as a valid point of view. I can agree, but a lot of people would disagree as well. Örjan, yeah, I think that, just like the last 5% of an illustration, is what separates beginner or intermediate to veteran. I think it's something everyone works up to, and I think if you're not aware of it, you can't practice it, and if you can't practice it, you can't get better at it. And if you're too scared to try or to fail, you will never even attempt it. I need to think more about this subject. Anyways, stream has ended. Here's the cat monk. Classic lights only painting technique. I don't know. Who can we raid? She's painting those. I don't care so much about those, actually. What's Tim Remmers doing? You guys want to see 3D? What is he doing? Oh, that's not that interesting either. Let's do a deep dive in tits and ass land. There's tits and ass. This looks pretty cool. Oh, there's the hookah guy. Oh man, there's the pipe smoker. The constant pipe smoker. He's back. He's back, people. Right, let's raid the hookah smoker. He's such a weird dude. Let's raid him. Alright. Cheers, man. It went by fast today. Have a great one, everyone. Good night if you're in that end of the world. Have a great, productive day if you're in this side of the world. Either way, see you guys tomorrow. Have a great one. Outer time.